I will share my slides, and Nell has started the recording. So I think it's this one. Oops. Go back to the beginning. There we go. Can you see the first slide of the slides now? Yeah, great. So as I said, this support session is around how to run successful projects in the ACT stage. What we'll cover, we'll just cover the context of where it fits in the program, guidance on what to do. Each of the cohort leads will go through a few examples of successful projects that they've run in their cohorts before. We'll have a 10 minutes or so in breakout rooms so you can discuss practicalities, challenges, and you know what you think will work best. That will be in a room with one of us, so we can kind of like support with ideas or any challenges, and then a little bit of time for feedback and questions at the end. If you have any kind of burning questions throughout, you can just unmute and talk, or you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, if you want to wait till the end, that's fine. And if you've got anything really specific to your school, just stay on the line when we finish, and we can talk to you directly. Um, so just to put it into the context of the program, then, hopefully you'll be kind of roughly up to here. Before Christmas was the explore stage, where we're really looking at the causes and impacts of the climate crisis and what we can all do to help. Then since Christmas, it's been the investigate stage, where pupils have been looking into the four areas of carbon emissions of energy, food, travel, and purchasing. In the background, hopefully, we've been collecting some data from your school, and if you've done that, then we will have sent you the results of your carbon footprint. Um, and then around about now, I think it was scheduled for a week or two ago, was the calculating our carbon footprint session, where we sent you a sort of a bespoke session using the actual real life data from your schools. As a math teacher, that's my favorite session of the entire program. So hopefully the pupils enjoyed that well and getting stuck into some maths. And then there's a few. Then it's the start of the ACT stage, which I'll talk to you a bit more in a bit more detail about. And then there's a few stages, few sessions at the end, which we call the Inspire stage. So as mentioned, the session 12 is a really key one. If you sent us carbon footprint data, then we will have sent you a PowerPoint and a worksheet or two. And sent you your results for the carbon footprint. I mean, there was kind of lots of information in the email that got sent to you, so hopefully that's really useful for you. We really encourage you to share that carbon footprint and share information with the whole school community. You can put it in a school newsletter, circulate it amongst staff, talk about it in a staff meeting, and highlight it to pupils as well. The key thing just to mention is that the red, amber, green rating we do in comparison to other schools on the program. So a red rating doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's slightly higher per pupil than other schools on the program, and so potentially might have some more scope for reduction. So if you have one or two or even more reds, it doesn't mean you're doing badly. It means that yeah, that those are areas that you can focus on with your projects, and that the whole point of one of the main points of doing that session is so that the pupils get that information in session 12, so that they can prioritize areas which they could have an impact on. Just one note, if you didn't send us any data, that's fine. Don't worry about it. You can still carry on with the ACT stage. Yeah, like that is, it's nice to have that. But if you don't have your carbon footprint, it doesn't matter. You can still do the ACT stage and just kind of think about what the pupils would like to prioritize, or if the school specifically has some priorities in those four areas: energy, travel, purchasing, food. Then you can focus on them. And yeah, and don't worry about kind of skipping out session 12. So the next few sessions after session 12 are all about really kind of getting started and coming up with ideas for your projects. So the first one is around choosing a topic, um, out of energy, food, travel, or purchasing. And there's some kind of question prompts and little activities to help pupils choose which topic to focus on. We do encourage you to just to choose one topic. Just for kind of for ease of coordination. If the class is split, I've done this before where when I've been delivering sessions, the class is split for sort of 50-50, and half of them want to do food and half of them want to do travel. That's totally fine. Like I think that's okay. Having more than two different topics to focus on can get just a bit messy and a bit confusing. To try to keep on top of all the different things. So I would encourage you to get the class to focus on one or two topics. Then in session 14, then it goes kind of a bit more in depth um, into actually what you can do within those topics and selecting a project. Often this is the stage where it can be a bit daunting because your pupils might come up with like lots of wonderful, wacky, crazy ideas, some of which will probably not have much chance of success. Equally, sometimes pupils find it really difficult to come up with ideas for projects. So that's where the project ideas sheet, it's in the resources available to download for session 14, can be really helpful. We don't recommend that you give the project ideas sheet to the pupils for them to kind of like choose from. The idea is that it's really for you as a prompt so that when the pupils are coming up with ideas, if they get a bit stuck, you can kind of just like feed them a few ideas from that project ideas sheet, rather than them getting stuck. Or you can just kind of sense check their ideas a little bit based on, there's lots and lots of ideas on there, and those are all projects that have worked previously in schools. So it's kind of it's more for you to use as a backup resource to support the pupils with their ideas. So hopefully you find that helpful. Other really key resources for session 14 is an action plan template. Um, that kind of the filling that in spans session 14 and session 15, so they've got plenty of time to fill in each section. There's a little bit of guidance in the PowerPoint, and then they can fill in each section as they go through session 14 and 15. And so hopefully by the end of session 15, they've got a really key idea of what their project is. They've got a summary of it. They've got an idea of kind of a few step-by-step actions to start their project, who they might need to talk to, what any resources they might need. And so and then that becomes a really kind of useful guide. They don't have to refer to it every single session, but certainly for the first few ACT sessions, that action plan is really important. And then after that, so session 16 to 22, it's basically just getting on with the projects. It is the longest stage of the program, and purposely so, because it can take some time for the people to develop their ideas and then carry out actions, and then they might come across barriers or hurdles, and it gives them time to kind of really explore how they can get over those. Um, each of the PowerPoints for those, you can see session 16, session 18, 19, 20, 21, they're all kind of developing their projects projects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can become a bit repetitive. Hopefully there is a few little ex sort of tasks and prompts and ideas and in each of those, so that they're useful there for you. Equally, if you're by session 20, you're kind of up and running, the children grab their action plan, they know what they're doing, and they're just getting on with it. You don't really need the PowerPoints, to be honest. So it's entirely up to you to use them, don't use them, use bits and pieces from them. Add things in if it's helpful. They're just there for you as a sort of a prompt and a backup, really. Um, the sessions in the sessions in the ACT stage can feel challenging as a teacher sometimes, because they're slightly different to a normal kind of classroom session where you kind of introduce a topic, you give them a task, they go away, work on their task, and you come back, and it can feel a bit different like that, because you will have different groups working on different things. you know, they should have some freedom to come up with their own ideas. They have to navigate kind of team dynamics in their different groups. So yeah, there's times where it can feel a bit kind of um, yeah, there can be challenges in kind of coordinating all of those sessions. But what we do find, what we think is really important, is that through those sessions and giving them a bit of time and a bit of freedom to work on them, they are developing really important skills, and skill development is a key outcome of this stage. So, developing things like, I mean, teamwork is very strongly referenced throughout, and how to work well as a team, but also problem solving, leadership, communication. Um, you know, the projects themselves. We hope that they start their projects, they run, you know, take them through to the conclusion, and they're successful, but inevitably some of them are not going to work out for whatever reasons throughout. But if they actually come away and they've kind of can see that, and they can evaluate that, and they've developed skills along the way, then that's a really useful learning opportunity for them anyway, just, you know, regardless of the outcome of their actual, you know, regardless whether there's some actual tangible carbon reduction in their projects. Um, yeah, think that's just about it. And just to mention on the groups that you put them together, so some, you know, sometimes it can work all working together in as a class on a particular project, but generally it's better to kind of separate them into groups of sort of 4 to 6. Um, we recommend that you assign the pupils to groups rather than letting them choose them. I mean, that's, you know, you know that, you know, the school with that, you know, your class is the best. But yeah, just being aware that they will be in those groups for a number of weeks. So making sure that the dynamics are good and that are going to work is important. And then, you know, if you come up with any challenges anywhere along the way, you know, if you get sort of a few sessions in and you think, oh my goodness, I'm stuck, I don't know where we're going with this, then please do reach out to your cohort lead. You know, everyone in the team has done this in the classroom ourselves, and we've also guided like lots and lots of schools through this process. So if you get stuck, just get on the line with your cohort lead, and we will be able to help you with some ideas and guidance on that. Um, so yeah, I think that's about it on the guidance for that. And yeah, I'm going to pass over to the team to just talk like a bit of that's I've talked very generally about this. Let's get into some actual specifics of some of some projects that you can run.
Hi, yeah. I believe Chantel's on this call from Rickard, so it's great to give them a shout out. But yeah, they've done the program for a few years now, and have led some really fantastic initiatives focused around the school's carbon footprint with the eco leads, and we're able to kind of launch a switch off campaign, engaging both the site team, the SLT, but also pupils with a kind of poster campaign, and a sort of poster for each classroom. So a really good way to incorporate research and actually pitching to the site team about how to improve energy efficiency in the school, as well as engaging pupils and kind of encouraging those behaviours throughout the school day as well. I'll just jump to cohort C as well. So Hungerford Primary last year, a school in London, had a really inventive way of making walk to school initiatives a bit more engaging and creative. So they created maps of nature walks that pupils could take on the way to school. So they looked for small observations that pupils could make, and created a treasure hunt effectively for their pupils to encourage them to actually tick off things they'd seen on the way to school, which is also a really creative way of checking that pupils are walking to school and are doing active travel where possible.
Cool, yeah. So cohort B last year, May Park Primary School, which is in Easton in Bristol, they did a bike bus, which was where they promoted it across the whole school, so with parents and families and children, and everybody was encouraged to take part in this bike bus, which went all the way around the kind of local area and picked up everybody on the way to school, and was actually featured on the ITV News. So one of our community climate action advisors, Loz, supported them to do this. And yeah, I would really recommend watching that video because it's a lovely story and kind of shows how real community involvement can also really support you in your Act Stage projects. Yeah, Zenobia, I think, is gonna.
Yes. So, cohort D, I've got an example here from Stratford Manor Primary School in Newham, and they wanted to develop their vegetable patch at school. So, the pupils did a lot of food growing and introduced a compost bin. And rather than just sort of do that as a project, they wanted to combine it with a community element. So, they planned a cafe for parents where they put on an afternoon tea using some of the ingredients that they had grown. So like tomatoes and herbs and things like that from the garden. And that was a really nice way of introducing what they had been learning with parents who were able to eat some delicious food. And I came along too. And it was very nice. So thank you.
Great, thank you. So yeah, just some sort of tangible examples of the kind of projects that you can run across the different emissions areas. But just also to mention, we kind of haven't done this previously, but the emissions areas of energy, food, travel, and purchasing is what you're kind of guided towards in the program, because they can have a tangible effect on your carbon footprint, which is what we're measuring. And if you stay on the program year on year, that's one of the aims, is to actually reduce your carbon footprint. But what we have found is that quite a lot of schools are keen to do sort of something that focuses on nature or wildlife, biodiversity, that kind of thing. Um, and whilst we don't have kind of specific kind of resources around that, in the last few years, the National Education Nature Park, which is one of the Department for Education funded initiatives, have done lots of work on this. And actually, our Green Schools Project previous education manager, Georgia, actually moved on from us to the National Education Nature Park to lead on resource development. So we know that they're going to be amazing because she did a great job with our resources. But I've just got a slide there with just some guidance from them on kind of like the links to click, if your pupils are keen to do that. Obviously, it won't have an effect on your overall carbon footprint, but also we recognise that not everything needs to be about that. So if you are keen to do some work on nature, wildlife, biodiversity, just follow those links, and it'll take you to sort of the key places on the site to get started. And then that's a really valid project if your pupils are keen, or if your school kind of has a particular focus in that area. So yeah, do try those out. So we're going to move into the breakout rooms now. We've got time for about 10 minutes. In the when Bethany's going to assign you to breakout rooms, we weren't entirely sure how many people were going to be coming from each cohort, but hopefully Bethany's going to work some magic behind the scenes on that. I'll let you just kind of mention that in a moment. But when you get into your breakout rooms, hopefully you'll have one of us in the breakout rooms just to sort of be there. We don't have to kind of contribute that much. If you guys want to talk amongst yourselves, great, but we'll be there to support if needed. And just, yeah, those three questions just to discuss. What challenges do you foresee and how can they be overcome? What support do you think pupils will need? And if there's anyone in the session who's run the program before, please kind of provide give a bit of kind of tips and support for those people who are doing it for the first time, who might not have been through the process. Nell, should we stop the recording? And Bethany, do you want to mention the sort of breakout room logistics?